Alrighty, it is time for the Grand Prix 4th Street Grand Finals between All Who Wander on Esper Knives Out, a really brutal looking control deck that has had a phenomenal run through this GP. I believe All Who Wander, yeah, only player to make it out as Swiss undefeated. And therefore one of three players in this top five who got a bye. Philippe Sanner is All Who Wander's opponent here in this finals on Sultai fossils, trying to weaponize Titanic fossil and Wicked fossil from Monsters of Chikyu alongside Paleontologist to search them up and put them in the bin, with a bunch of good Sultai graveyard value, powerful cards. Both of these decks looking to play pretty brutal game plans, and this is going to be a very fascinating match. Players are getting the lobby set up now, so we will jump into watching them in just a moment here. I am very intrigued to see where this match goes. I think both of these players are, obviously very skilled at these decks. Philippe having to fight the other player in the top five, who did not have to fight a quarterfinals match. Cool Beans and Philippe both getting to sort of skate by without having a quarterfinals match, and Beans just narrowly losing out in the semifinals match. I got to spectate Philippe versus Cool Beans, and that was a tough game to watch. Very tightly played on both sides. Very uh, or sorry, no, I think I might be misremembering. Right, no, sorry. It was a very tough game to watch, just in terms of like hard to know who was going to come out on top. Obviously 2-1, not a safe game either way, and it was very awesome to watch Philippe just kind of take over the board with Prophet of the Veils and beat down with Prophet of the Veils game three. Was very fun to watch. But I was starting to mix it up with Cool Beans having also just narrowly lost to All Who Wander in the round four Swiss match, where we got to find a fun, not so fun interaction of Cityscape Dragon interacting poorly versus the one of Divine Rule. Both of those uh, damage modifying uh, effects being applied at the same time and being able to be ordered by the person receiving the damage. So Divine Rule preventing one of the damage coming in, and then Cityscape Dragon attempting to modify damage up to Cityscape Dragon's power. With so many of the creatures in this deck dealing one damage, it meant that Cityscape Dragon was trying to have those those one power creatures deal four, and instead All Who Wander got to completely lock down the match by having those one power creatures deal zero, and then they're no longer dealing damage for Cityscape Dragon to modify. Absolutely tough matches. Cool Beans, unfortunately, really just getting beat out by only the two people who got into this top cut here. And then, of course, our other two competitors in this top cut bracket were also pretty remarkable. Dr. Chipmunk on the Persist combo deck that I was very frightened of going into this tournament, and very rightfully so. Chipmunk, one of only two players to bring the deck to the tournament. Far fewer representation decks represented, or players representing this deck, than I was anticipating, and Chipmunk really proving that this was a deck to be reckoned with by taking it all the way to the quarterfinals up against Itai Ukul, who was one of the players who knocked me out on Stasis's Jund Card Shark list. Um, and Chipmunk taking out Itai in a bit of cruel irony that one of the players who took me out was beaten by the deck that I was targeting, but that's just how it rolls up sometimes. And Itai had a phenomenal run. All of these players had phenomenal runs, and Chipmunk, unfortunately, just got valued out of the game by All Who Wander on this, again, insanely brutal control deck. We still have some time before players get into this lobby. Um, just a moment. All right. Yeah, so let's get into these decks a little bit. So All Who Wander again on this Esper control shell. We've seen All Who Wander on a lot of control lists of varying fashions in the past couple months. A lot of them leaning on Shrine to Keranos as just really powerful draw fixing. Just you can always pitch your duplicates, so it's a legendary permanent that you really don't mind seeing in multiples. And especially these past few months, while we still have Duelists of Aro, insanely good at keeping Feast of Whispered Knives and Divine Rule active. With Feast of Whispered Knives, also another legendary enchantment, you don't mind discarding multiples to Shrine to Keranos. Is just going to start shredding the opponent's board or fixing your top deck and fixing your draws turn by turn. Or starting to develop a board of 2/1s with Menace if you really need those tokens, just to start getting ready to push your opponent to the finish line. With Kaleidoscape as some cantrip fixing, Omen of Deception as one of 3 counter spells alongside Divine Mishap and Afara's Judgment for 10 pieces of stack interaction in the main deck. We see 3 Succumb to History, 4 Event Horizon, 7 pieces of targeted exile removal, 2 Thovius Edai, which is just such a strong draw engine, such a strong value engine, able to just kind of constantly keep cards flowing, keep things off the board. I feel like this is a Planeswalker I need to give more credit to and try more moving into this next season, because this is always a Planeswalker I kind of skip when looking through options, and Thovius just is so backbreaking if left unaddressed. And even when you do deal with them, you kind of have to exile Thovius, because otherwise your opponent's just going to draw him back again eventually. 2 Dreamfalls just to sort of help police the board a little bit if it gets too wide, and 3 Keening Bell Towers makes up the main spell base. And then we also have 1 Imgara, the Brilliant City, which can be used as Caster of Shadows to make some 1/1s. Estroth, Center of Civilization, which can leverage the fact that Shrine to Keranos gives the deck a 4th color among permanents to allow Estroth to produce 4 potential mana for functionally 3 mana invested. Or even without that, it just helps fix your mana thanks to Kaleidoscape, thanks to Omen of Deception, Feast, Divine Rule. There is also Gates to the Underworld and 100-Handed Pillars and Ephemeral Mire, one of each. These really strong creature lands. I think Esper really does have the best of the creature lands, and that is All Who Wander joining the match here. So we're about to get into it. Just take a brief moment to go over what Philippe has here. 4 of each of these 2 mana Surveil 2 mana dorks. Gonna really help Philippe jump ahead of the curve a little bit, alongside 2 of Prophet of the Veil and 2 of Paleontologist, 2 different very strong 3-drops. Prophet can be binned when viewed from the top of the library to gain 2 and deal 2 to the opponent. Can pay 2 and a green to return it from your graveyard to your hand. It's also just a 3 mana 4/4, and as has been shown across some of Philippe's games, that is absolutely key to the card. Paleontologist also very good at getting these fossils into the graveyard. As mentioned, there's a lot of draw and a lot of powerful things going on here, as well as Thin the Veil, one of the best tutors in this format. We are getting into game 1. We are looking at opening hands. Both players have kept. Let's get over to this match here. So, All Who Wander kicks us off with New Divide. Philippe follows up with a tapped Sentinel's Glade. Both players taking this very slow. We see 2 Ghost Wardens Claims, a Weaving of the World, a Stoic Sentinel, and it looks like Paleontologist was the draw for Philippe, alongside a Methrin Waste and an Island. All Who Wander fetching out an Island and putting a Plains into play tapped. Almost goes to combat here, but is going to back up and play a Shrine to Keranos. I believe it is Shrine, Event Horizon, Omen of Deception, Succumb, Thovius Edai, and either Afara's Judgment was in hand and the Plains was the draw, or I believe the Plains was in hand and Afara's Judgment was the draw. Shrine will resolve here and start the value train going, and we're going to see Afara's Judgment get pitched here for a Keening Bell Tower. One of the nice things about this Sultai deck is Ghost Warden's Claim is one of the better catch-all answers in the format. It is just going to get rid of anything for good, no graveyard shenanigans available, and that Surveil is not nothing either, just helping to fix the top deck a little bit. We're going to see Stoic Sentinel come down here with a Weaving of the World #2 picked up on the draw there. Grasp at Frail Dreams getting binned off the Stoic Sentinel. We'll see if we get a second card binned here. We're keeping one on top. All right. So whatever Philippe has on top, that is something that they want. We are seeing immediate island for Kaleidoscape, presumably on this plains. Drawing and choosing a land's type. Nice thing here is you do get to draw and then choose, choosing Swamp. So this Plains is going to be a Swamp and a Plains now. And going to combat. Pitching Thovius for another Feast of Whispered Knives. This is not how you want your finals match to go. Starting off with a bit of a mana screw. The green deck with the Mana Dork starting to get a bit of added value, and that is a Hugo's Handiwork, which is going to be very, very solid at policing all of these cheap permanents that All Who Wander will eventually get into play. Philippe also whiffing on drawing more lands, but is going to play the Emethrin Waste as the Emethrin Jungle's backside, and exile Grasp at Frail Dreams with Stoic Sentinel to put this Weaving of the World into play, and who needs to draw lands anymore? That is going to provide an additional land drop each turn and go search up basics on these first two chapters, and then gain Philippe a whole lot of life on the third chapter, which is going to leave Philippe looking like they'll be in a pretty comfortable position here. Once again, whiffing on the land drop here. Pitches a Kaleidoscape for a Kaleidoscape. That is also kind of rough. They're going to go ahead and develop the Feast of Whispered Knives here. Just start picking things off. Feast will take out this Stoic Sentinel. Another high-octane match just like last month. Players playing very fast, very tight. Some draws not going players' ways, but both sides here are just kind of navigating things as cleanly as they can. Weaving is going to go ahead and find a Swamp for Philippe, and they'll play it as their first land for turn. They have a second land here that they could play, but they do not have a land in hand. Sorry, second land drop specifically. And they're going to go ahead and develop Hugo's Handiwork, and it looks like just pop the Handiwork right now. Yeah, just take out this Kaleidoscape, take out the enchantments, remove all of All Who Wander's momentum and draw engine, and All Who Wander will get that third land draw here, dug just deep enough to be able to get out of this hole a little bit. Develops the Luxurious Estate, shocks it in, and plays an island, uses their islands to play the Kaleidoscape from hand. On the estate, so we're going to get to draw another card. That is another Kaleidoscape, amusingly. Notably, this Plains is no longer capable of tapping for black. We should probably pause for a moment. Yeah, Stasis has got it for our players. All Who Wander will go ahead and just take the one for Luxurious Estate here to make black mana off of the estate. And Feast is going to allow All Who Wander to start scrying as well here. So push 2 damage, look at top 2, and they're going to start making choices here on what stays on top. Good, quick catch by Stasis there. Philippe would like to know when scrying is done, presumably so that way they can begin their turn. Thovius Adi from top to top, and then New Divide on top of that. Okay, so their top 2 cards are New Divide and then Thovius Adi, so they're going to be drawing New Divide next turn. Philippe will draw and gain 5. With Weaving the World cashed in here. Draws a Wicked Fossil, so that is both fossils in hand. Wicked Fossil is just going to be a high aggression card, good at closing the game out. 2 mana to cast, 2 mana to sacrifice. Target player loses 2, you gain 2, and then you can pay 2 black to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield transformed. And doing so brings it back as a 4/3 that does its front side sacrifice ability every time it attacks, and it also has haste. It is a brutal card. Actually, we can just go ahead and show you a Risen Hunter here real quick. Strong aggro piece. And then Titanic Fossil is going to get cast here alongside Weaving the World, Finding Another Land. Titanic Fossil, 2 mana to cast, 3 mana to sacrifice, to mill 3 cards, and then exile a card from your graveyard to cast a copy without paying its mana value. Or sorry, without paying its mana cost if its mana value is 3 or less. You can pay 3 blue and a black to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield transformed as a Risen Tyrant, which is going to be a 5/5 with trample, and that sacrifice ability on attack. All Who Wander going ahead here and playing out another Kaleidoscape, drawing the Thovius Adi as well as that new Divide. And it's just going to Event Horizon the Titanic Fossil. Very good call here. That fossil will start to run over the game if left unchecked. And Feast is going to keep applying a bit of pressure to Philippe where it can. Now, of course, we do see Paleontologist in Philippe's hand. That does mean that Philippe can Paleontologist the other 2 fossils into their graveyard. And that might be advisable just for the sake of getting them out of the deck. We see, I believe, yeah, we see Island was their pickup for turn, was their draw for turn, and they picked up a Forest off of the Weaving, so they've made both land drops this turn. That is 8 mana at Philippe's disposal. That is a Methrin Jungle uses up 3 mana as well as its own ability to produce mana. So 4 other mana if they want to Methrin Jungle, but the life gain is not as critical here. They could actually play, sacrifice, and return Wicked Fossil here to push 8 damage. Which is not the worst idea in the world here. We see a Succumb to History in All Who Wander's hand, but with 1 land in the graveyard, New Divide does represent another land beyond itself for going Ancient. But even with New Divide in graveyard, that's only 6 lands total, so it would need to be another New Divide off the top, shocked in. But we're going to see Paleontologist come in and go get those other fossils. So that is the second copy each of Titanic Fossil and Wicked Fossil in graveyard. We are seeing Philippe pay 2, 3, 4. Oh no, 3 for Ghost Warden's claim. Pick off this Feast of Whispered Knives. No need to rush the Titanic Fossil out or the Wicked Fossil. Let's just take care of the opponent's win cons, Philippe says. So Philippe is now going to get to Surveil 1, bins an Elvish Witness, and is going to develop this Wicked Fossil from hand. Solid stuff. And we got a 2/2 here. Do not knock this. Thovius does do sacrifice effects, so if Philippe can get another disposable creature in play alongside a fossil, Thovius -3 can't just cleanly pick off a fossil. And even if Philippe develops the fossil here, Thovius -3 does not just get a clean shot to kill the fossil because there is time for Philippe to develop more bodies on the board. But it is going to be Thovius Adi coming into play here. We do see Estroth, Center of Civilization, was the draw here for All Who Wander. Another important thing about Estroth here is this is a legendary land for the sake of enabling draws off of Divine Mishap. It is one of... it is, I believe, the only legendary land in the deck. So the only way that Divine Mishap is drawing a card, really. And Thovius is going to uptick and give All Who Wander a delayed draw. Bind the Elvish Witness, draws an Elvish Witness. All right. Went ahead and gained 8 life up to 29 off of the second Weaving. And we're seeing a payment of 4. I believe this is going to be Wicked Fossil return from graveyard. Yeah. Yeah, so that is a Risen Hunter coming in, uh, possibly crashing in alongside Paleontologist at Thovius, just to kind of push this off board for a little bit. I almost wonder if it might be better to just push damage to the face. Because if you push damage face here, 2 from attacks take All Who Wander to 15. Then another 6 take All Who Wander to 9. Then you can cast Elvish Witness, second main, do the Surveil 2, and crack Wicked Fossil. And if they just Thovius -3, they're sitting at 9. They go to 7 when you crack Wicked Fossil. That would be lethal next turn. I wonder if Philippe is just so far ahead on life they're trying to take the safest possible line, but we'll see how that pans out for them. We do get a Feast of Whispered Knives developed here. That will not clean up the Arisen Hunter on its own, but if Shrine to Keranos could have found a land here, then it would be a much more comfortable position because it would open up Succumb to History as a valuable or a valid hit on the Arisen Hunter. But unfortunately, we know this next card is Thovius, I believe. So, oh, we're getting a wait. Oh, is Philippe going to Ghost Warden's claim the Shrine to Keranos? Interesting. Yeah, I believe we do know this next card is Thovius because All Who Wander put Thovius third from the top and has drawn 2 cards this turn, 1 for draw and 1 for the delayed trigger from the Thovius uptick. I'm having trouble seeing how All Who Wander is going to get out of this. Really is getting ruined a little bit by the mana troubles that they've had here in this first game. And really putting a lot of respect on Weaving of the World. This card is very unassuming looking, and it really does do so much work with helping you get into a more comfortable position. And Philippe identifying that perhaps this shrine isn't even worth worrying about here. Omen of Deception pitched for Thovius Edi, and this is going to be Ghostborn's claim on Feast of Whispered Knives. Yeah, this is lethal. This is lethal. Philippe took the safer line and still got the lethal that I was trying to find here. 10 power on board. Sacrifice Wicked Fossil, pay another 4 to return it to the battlefield. Swing 14 is going to be 16 damage this turn, with nothing that All Who Wander can do about it. That's going to be Philippe winning at 37 life to -1. What a dominating performance from Fossils here in game 1. That is remarkable. We get the GGs from our players. Let's take a brief moment here to take a peek at what the sideboards look like for our players. All Who Wander has 4 of Beauclair Scorn, 2 Dreamfall, 2 Ominous Slaughter, 3 Banished to the Isle, and 4 Soul Guide Lanterns. I can't be sure if Lantern is this thing that could be super relevant in this matchup, but the Fossil activated ability can be responded to. So unless Philippe has enough mana to activate it twice, Lanterns can get around that. So maybe All Who Wander wants some Lanterns. Otherwise, Beauclair's Scorn seems like a safe enough bet. Just kind of pick off a lot of Philippe's most important things, kind of just take them away from Philippe in terms of what they have going on. And that is not to say that Philippe is entirely reliant on non-creature spells. 1 of Scotha, the 2 Prophet of the Veils can absolutely kill. But Beauclair Scorn is going to be pretty good here. Dreamfall is definitely still a valid option. Could maybe want the more copies of Dreamfall. Oh, players are already getting back into this. My God, the finals matches are always so fast. Philippe has a whole bunch of 1-ofs and 2-ofs and 3 Eternal Knights in the sideboard. We might even see them in this match because it is a very good. I believe it has been intended to use as a anti-control card. We'll see if it comes up going into this game too. Philippe has taken a mulligan and is on the draw. We see All Who Wander has boarded in the Banish to the Isles, has boarded in Soul Guide Lantern, has boarded in Ominous Slaughter as well. Just bringing in as much removal as they can. I wonder if this means that the Succumb to Histories are out of here. Very possible. No such mana issues from All Who Wander here. Draws the Shrine to Keranos just to ensure that there are no mana issues. Have to imagine it's going to be goodbye to Afara's Judgment. No, pitching Banish to the Isle. Picks up the Beauclair score, another card I have identified coming in here. Philippe has Deceiver's Gift, I believe, is a sideboard card, as well as Stroke of Nescience, and we're going to see the Stroke of Nescience here. Which of these 3 sideboard cards would you like to take? This is a lot of options here for Philippe. Also reveals the top card of Library is an Event Horizon. So a lot of removal being displayed here. Makes you wonder, maybe the hit is Soul Guide Lantern, just kind of free up the graveyard. We see 2 Deceiver's Gift and 2 Grasp at Frail Dreams. My goodness, this is going to be a much more stack-heavy match, I think. Deceiver's Gift, just such a nice, subtle... Oh, we're seeing Beauclair score and get hit here. I suppose that is fair. There are 2 different 2-ofs in the opening hand here, or sitting in the hand here right now. The Beauclair Scorn just becomes such a problem to deal with. So we're going to get to see this Event Horizon get drawn. I have to imagine probably also get pitched to the Shrine to Keranos. Don't really need the second copy right now. Wow, no, we're seeing Ominous Slaughter get pitched for another Soul Guide Lantern. All right. Lantern probably comes down, picks off the Stroke, and we may even see a pay 1, crack it to draw. No, they're just going to hold it up. Land drop, not as important here. Picking up a Hugo's Handiwork on Philippe's side of things, and is just going to get the Handiwork into play while there's a moment to do so. Philippe now has the mana initiative here, sitting on 2 each, Deceiver's Gift and Grasp at Frail Dreams. Grasp is such a good way to mitigate these like long-term grindy matches that this is shaping up to be. Just solid card selection early, and that is going to coalesce to be an absolute behemoth amount of value. Like 4/4 in these kind of matchups is very, very real, especially when it is a 7 mana 4/4 that comes with value out of your graveyard. It is getting you the best card of the top 3. Picking up a Thovius Adi and immediately pitching it. We're seeing a Lantern crack to go ahead and get this land. And I wonder if we'll see anything else happen here. Probably not. Yeah, no other plays. Sentinel's Glade pickup here. Now, Philippe has some choices to make. Is it worth holding up Deceiver's Gift, or is it worth just firing off Grasp at Frail Dreams? The nice thing about Handiwork is it is an instant speed activation, so can just kind of sit on this alongside Deceiver's Gift to just put All Who Wander in such an awkward position. Try to move to combat before combat. Handiwork X2. Yeah. I believe that is one of 2 total Handiworks in the 75. Yeah, total of 2, both in the main deck. And Soul Guide Lantern came down to eat the Handiwork here afterwards. Untap, draw a Swamp. on Philippe's side. So that's going to be a grasp just getting fired off here. I think that might be a slight mis-sequencing. No, there's no other blue sources, so kind of no choice but to use the Sentinel's Glade here. So I suppose I was wrong. Deceiver's Gift was never being held up there. It really was just Hugo's Handiwork or bust. It didn't even click for me that that was a risky keep on Philippe's part of having a bunch of blue cards in hand with no blue sources, but it all paid off. That Sentinel's Glade is going to get Philippe out of this. And pick up an On-Glade, which will start to fix the mana in the long term, is not going to be able to be On-Glade Lost Waters, or On-Lake, sorry, so could not potentially be drawing lands off the top, but I think in this scenario, having the blue source in play is far more important. And Grasp also binned the one of Czar as well as an Elvish Witness. I wonder, there is a second, or sorry, yeah, one of Czar is from the sideboard, so Czar came in this matchup. Kind of unfortunate to lose your sideboard card here. Do believe there might be a way to get this back. Lose the Determined looks like it's a potential way to return this Czar from the graveyard. Looks like it might be the only way. Might be a one of Lose out to return Czar. Wow, we have missed so much just in me taking a moment to look at decks. Stroke of Nescience getting drawn here by Philippe, and Ifara's Judgment coming down to try and counter this. And Deceiver's Gift is going to get to fire it right back. So Judgment is countered. Stroke of Nescience is going to get to fire off. And that is going to take away the Divine Rule, I imagine. The one of Divine Rule, which is one of All Who Wander's most potent ways of closing out a game like this, really is going to push All Who Wander in the position of having to find a new way to get out of this game. And Divine Mishap revealed on top with a Stroth in hand that is going to cantrip, but especially with this Deceiver's Gift in hand, Philippe is just so comfortably in the driver's seat, knows there's a counterspell coming, knows the removal in hand, gets to kind of just maneuver around it however they please. The Ominous Slaughter could pick off a Coalesced Grasp at Frail Dreams, but is not going to really meaningfully these are not really meaningfully going to get, or no, they could be dealt with by the Event Horizon, because they are man value 2. So that is an interesting potential option. We see Ghost Warden's Clean drawn by Philippe here. Imagine there's going to be the other Grasp. And All Who Wander will just let that by. Whew. Any moment these players take a piece. Wow, words. Any moment I get of these players stopping to think for a second really is something I gotta cherish while I can. We see Wicked Fossil and Eternal Night binned. I was right about Eternal Night getting boarded in here. Wicked Fossil gets pitched, which means that Wicked Fossil can. I believe. Yep, they accidentally put it in exile instead of graveyard. Although I don't see why you wouldn't just fire that off now. Because if I understand correctly, it is mana value 2. So if nothing else, you force the action on this Ominous Slaughter. And the hand is full open knowledge, so if your opponent mistakenly taps like Estate Island or Estate Pillars, they leave themselves out of being able to Divine Mishap here. Yep, and that is exactly what Philippe is doing here. Or actually, no, the making the tapping out the Divine Mishap is not super relevant here, because no ability to follow it up. And that is unfortunate for Philippe getting to pick up the Soul Guide Lantern here. Philippe could Deceiver's Gift this, but doing so plays right into the face-up Divine Mishap. So going to hold off. Exiling Grasp over the Fossil is interesting. I suppose they are all mana value too. And the grasp is card advantage. Just passing here. That face up Divine Mishap, kind of a double-edged sword now, because Philippe does have to pilot with the knowledge that that is always available to all who wander at a moment's notice. An important note about timing with Coalesce, if I understand correctly, by the time that Philippe has paid the cost to Coalesce it, it is no longer in the graveyard and no longer a valid target for Soul Guide Lantern. And sure enough, we're going to see the other Coalesce happen here. And Divine Mishap just wasted no time picking it off. And a match that looked like Philippe might be in the driver's seat for suddenly is going pretty neutral in terms of parity. Both players kind of getting to exchange resources and push each other into awkward positions. Of course, this is still open information with what is going on in All Who Wander's hand for the most part. These Event Horizons and Ominous Slaughter are still kicking around. And Philippe coming to the realization of Divine Mishap counting lands. And of course, one thing I did note, I mentioned this Astroth was the only way to enable Divine Mishap. That is among the mana base. Shrine to Keranos, Divine Rule, and Feast of Whisper Knives all qualify as well. Cashing in the Soul Guide Lantern to draw a card, we're finding a third Event Horizon alongside Afara's Judgment. So that is another counterspell pickup. Philippe just playing Umberdeep as the land here. Whew. A proper full control mirror here. Which blue-black control deck can outgrind the opponent? Beauclair Scorn is the pickup here. Oh, if that can snag a Ghost Warden's Claim, that is going to be so backbreaking. We see Philippe fire off the Umberdeep here, just starting to fine-tune the draw. This effectively just says Surveil 1. Picking up a Thin the Veil. Thin the Veil is huge here, but that is in the face of 2 counter spells. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 permanent types, or sorry, card types in the graveyard, which is going to mean Thin the Veil is eligible to hit anything in the deck barring Skotha, I believe. Skotha and any copies of Eternal Night. But if they fire off the Thin the Veil, All Who Wander can just say no with Beauclair Scorn, and if Philippe tries to hit that with a Deceiver's Gift, that is going to put All Who Wander in the position to just Afara's Judgment take away both of these tools from Philippe and leave Philippe stranded on 2 removal spells with no mana to use the removal spells, which could potentially mean if All Who Wander draws, they could start pushing damage with Gates to the Underworld, notably non-land permanent off of Ghost Warden's Claim. So these creature lands are immune to Ghost Warden's Claim, the most important removal spell in this matchup. And in fact, looking at Philippe's deck, I don't believe they have a way to remove these creature lands. Yeah, not really. Everything in Philippe's deck deals with non-creature, or sorry, deals with non-land permanents. So, yeah, we see Thin the Veil, we see Beauclair Scorn. And the awkward thing here for Philippe is if they don't Deceiver's Gift, that gets shown face up to All Who Wander. Yep, we're going to see the Deceiver's Gift, and we're going to potentially just see the exchange here of Afara's Judgment on Deceiver's Gift, get rid of all of these Thin the Veils. And suddenly, it went from All Who Wander playing with a bunch of removal face up to Philippe playing with a bunch of removal face up. As now both players know what they're operating on, and of their lands, Philippe has one that can let them fine-tune their draws, and All Who Wander has one that can kill their opponent over time. Only unknown card in either hand right now is this third copy of Event Horizon, and we do get a moment to peek at the full sideboard plan. Looks like 2 Eternal Nights came in. Yeah, 2 of the 3 Eternal Nights came in Uh, da, da, da. Skotha is still in the deck. We see a supply raid came in. Pretty smart include here. Good stuff. Banish to the Isle, pick up just removal spell number 5. Unfortunately, no 7th land, so cannot activate Gates to the Underworld. Philippe commenting that they feel vindicated that they believed Eternal Night would not resolve. Don't believe they have enough. I am just telling players to wait. All right. Both players catching it. Just trying to correct a moment. Both players commenting that they can't read and amused that both of them have played this card before and missed this. All right, so just correcting life totals here. All Who Wander should be at 17. And Philippe has regained the 3 life here back up to 18. Yep, Stasis is noting the correct life total for All Who Wander. Thank you, Stasis. I get really anxious whenever I'm in a position of chiming in on the state of the game or potential rules issues. I am not a judge, though, as I understand it, there isn't exactly a licensed judge program anymore in official Magic. So I can only do so much as far as just what I know. Cityscape draw here does mean that the gates will be able to start swinging soon. Gotta be pitching one of these Event Horizons, I have to imagine. And this Wicked Fossil is just, like, eventually going to eat the Ominous Slaughter. Binning the island, which would be nice if the Veils were still around, because that is now 7 card types in the graveyard. And we do see an Event Horizon get pitched to the Cityscape here. Goes to find Island, and I assume Plains. Yeah. Island and Plains. And again, Ghost Warden's Claim can do nothing about the Gates to the Underworld. Shrine to Keranos is the draw. That is a big, big draw here. Just a moment here. I believe they can play out the Shrine to Keranos here. And then, no, it's not the right colors for Gates to the Underworld. My apologies. I was, for a moment, musing that perhaps Shrine to Keranos could get run out here and then activate the gates, but it is not the exact opposite devotion as far as what All Who Wander is trying to do here. So it looks like instead just animating this gates. So this costs 8 to animate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notably, 1 land away from animating 100-handed pillars instead. Now life totals are going an exchange of 3 down, 3 up. And we are going to see Philippe once again fire off the Umberdeep on upkeep here. Presumably just binning any land we see here. Is pinched on blue mana still. Has me a little worried that this island bin, while, prescient in terms of trying to avoid drawing lands, could be awkward. Nope, not awkward at all. That is a Skotha pickup. Goodness gracious. What a way to get onto the board. Skotha coming in here is going to untap the lands and make All Who Wander discard a card here. Skotha, such a powerful card. I don't think we don't really see Skotha at all in standard rotation, which is such a shame because this card is so strong. Um, I am gonna have this is another one of those cards I think I am going to have to play more often. Especially with cards like Jack coming into the format next month. And of course, with no mana up to Ominous Slaughter and with another creature in play, perfect time to just get in with a Risen Hunter, gain back some of that life that was just lost, and push all who wander into an awkward position. Notably, with Banish to the Isle, if you banish the Arisen Hunter and Banish gets removed, it comes back as the Wicked Fossil. So that is going to probably just want to be Event Horizon on Arisen Hunter and then Omen of Slaughter on the Skotha. Nascent Light Vein could otherwise be 100-handed pillars, but right now there is no time to be letting this stick. And the danger of Banish to the Isle is there is mana up for Ghost Warden's Claim. Ghost Warden's Claim is face up. There are 2 copies that Phoenix Star All Who Wander knows about, meaning can't Banish to the Isle the Skotha, which is real awkward. Because banishing the Skotha just means you discard a card and Philippe gets to untap the lands to still Umberdeep and Ghost Warden's Claim. You're seeing white and colorless for, Event Horizon on the Arisen Hunter. This has been such a crazy back and forth. And the unfortunate fact of the matter is these face-up removal spells here are still just doing a lot to stave off the ability to develop things like Shrine to Keranos. Swamp and Plains, I've got to imagine that's the Ominous Slaughter here. Just take out Skotha while there is a chance, and that is exactly what's happening here. Both players even on Library as well, interestingly enough. So we've seen 3 of the Event Horizons. We've seen 2 of the Ominous Slaughters, 2 Shrine to Keranos, 2 Bouclair's Scorn, the 1 of Divine Rule, 3 Soul Guide Lanterns, which I believe, there could be a 4th. There could be a 4th Soul Guide Lantern here. Thovius. There are 2 of... So there could be another Thovius here. Holding on to the Shrine of Keranos and Banish to the Isle here seems reasonable enough. Skotha activation from Graveyard does mean one of these cards is going to get pitched. Bins a Ghost Warden's Claim number 3 off of the Umberdeep. And I suspect here this is going to be Elvish Witness, Surveil, and then Skotha activation to maximize the value out of the mana. And that's exactly what's happening. Let's see what cards come off the top here. Notably, Skotha does not disrupt the top cards here, just goes to the bottom. We're seeing both go to bin, Umberdeep and Onglade going to bin here. Philippe just says enough of these lands. And Skotha gets tucked to the bottom of the library. So it's going to be untapping all of these lands. Resetting Umberdeep. Picking off the Banish to the Isle. And putting Skotha right on the bottom. One of the things I think is really interesting about this activated ability is because of how it is worded, you cannot remove the Skotha when it comes into play this way. It just hits play and then goes right to the bottom of the library, no priority passing. So it's already on the bottom of the library before this trigger ever resolves or ever goes on the stack to start passing priority around. Uh, we get a whoops. Bin to another new divide. More lands going to the bin. And we are seeing All Who Wander crack this Omen of Slaughter to go ahead and scry 2. Bottoms both, planes and another banish. Players just digging for something desperately here. That is a Feast of Whispered Knives. No way to trigger it. No way to and no way to keep it in play off in the face of Ghost Warden's claim. But that doesn't matter because this is enough mana in play to activate and animate this 100-handed pillars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we see All Who Wander tapping mana here. Could it be Shrine to Keranos here? Yeah, I think All Who Wander is going to try and bait removal on the Shrine to Keranos. We get a Resolves from Philippe. Before combat, firing off this Ghost Warden's claim. That is more top deck fixing from Philippe. And I think that means that this is going to be All Who Wander just animating the gates to the underworld here. Could develop this Feast of Whispered Knives, but that is another Ghost Warden's claim, and the Feast is going to yield no value here, so... All Who Wander thinking, yep, that is perfectly fine. I'm not sure who I think is favored here. I think Philippe has better draw control at this point. Umberdeep is just so much value, and of course they're sitting on the removal spells still. All Who Wander is kind of sparse on ways to end this game as well. It is pretty much just Feast of Whispered Knives or bust, I think, at this point. Or Keening Bell Tower also is eligible to do it if Keening Bell Tower is still in the deck. Something we're not sure of yet, but it could be. Yep, and we're just going to go ahead and see tap 6 animate the gates to the underworld. And doesn't even need to see that it turns sideways. Philippe knows that this Elvish Witness is not blocking. Whew. Looking at top 1. What's Philippe been in this time, or keeping this time? Keeping it on top, that is a Titanic Fossil, my goodness. So Titanic Fossil has a lot of eligible hits here. Seaver's Gift could be done just to sort of get some extra draw. Could Stroke of Nescience here? Mills, Wicked Fossil, Elvish Witness, and Emethrin Waste. Stroke of Nescience is going to hit Feast of Whispered Knives and take a peek at the... hit either Feast or the top card here. Keening Bell Tower on top. Oh, no. And that means I think that Feast is probably going to get to stay in hand. Very tough choice here for Philippe. I believe Philippe has not played a land? No, is holding this Forest. So this Forest is eligible to be played from hand here. Could take the Keening Bell Tower, leave All Who Wander on Feast and an unknown card. Taking Feast. So could develop Forest and try and deal with this Keening Bell Tower here. And it looks like that is what is going to happen here, not choosing to attack for 1. That is a race that Philippe is losing anyways right now. Though with these cards in graveyard, that might not last long. 4 mana for the Scheming Bell Tower. And we're going to see Philippe just immediately, the first chance they get to take priority, fire off on the Keening Bell Tower. That seems a little reckless here. I would much rather let All Who Wander give me priority in response to an activation of Bell Tower, or at least wait as long as possible. That's a new divide draw here. So unfortunate. So going to drain for 1, get the new divide in play, and thin another basic out of the deck. 4 basics in play, none in graveyard, none in exile. With 3 more in the deck. Not even firing off Underdeep, but still hitting the Hugo's Handiwork here. That is 6 plus 4. That is 10 mana. So enough to bring back Titanic and Wicked Fossil here. Wicked Fossil will clock for, I guess, 11 mana with the Elvish Witness. Arisen Hunter coming in here. Crashing for 6 while gaining 2. Suddenly life swings back in Philippe's favor. 3 mana. Oh. 1, 2. Yep, just retapping things. Looked like they were thinking and then took their decision back for a moment. One, two, three, 4, 5. Yeah, going ahead and just firing off this Titanic Fossil as well, getting the Arisen Fossil, the Arisen Tyrant in play. And putting the onus on All Who Wander here. I believe this Nascent Light Vein was like, this new divide could have been played, but holding it onto it for the Shrine to Keranos here, reasonable line to take. Drawing in Afara's Judgment, which is not quite gonna do it. Could animate Gates to the Underworld to at least trade off with the Arisen Hunter here, but that's not the best feeling in the world. And of course, this Arisen Tyrant is just going to start Ghost Warden claiming every single time it attacks. Notably, Philippe is at 19 cards in library. One, two, 3. Wow, cantripping on the Afara's Judgment. This feels reckless. Hits a Soul Guide Lantern. I'm not sure I agree with this line. So Lantern's gonna hit something. Presumably Ghost Warden's claim, but it doesn't really matter. Exile Czar. I guess. There's really only the Lose to get it back. But I guess Lose could get Czar back. The most notable thing I can see here is Arisen Tyrant does, apply a lot of pressure to the library. 19 cards left in deck, but All Who Wander is just so low on life. And the draw on Beauclair Scorn is just not very well timed. That's the 4th Ghost Warden's claim picked up here. We have exact lethal in play. Yeah, this is just not going to cut it. That should have left up the gates, I think. Would have bought them a turn. Traded off with the Arisen Hunter, put them to 4. Gained 3 to up to 7. Would have bought them 2 turns, potentially. With the exception of Philippe perhaps developing something onto board. But that is going to be All Who Wander giving the GGs. Philippe taking it 2-0. A dominant performance for Fossils here. Just absolutely taking control of the game both times around, even when things started to slip a little bit. Philippe just cleanly and expertly navigated around what removal was available, did what they could to reserve resources. Philippe is an absolute champion of Fossils. Every time that Eternal has come around to the format, Philippe has put Fossils into the field here, and finally getting another win with Fossils after it has been so long since it rotated. Have to wonder which card's getting promoted here, because that Paleontologist, let's pull it up real quick. That Paleontologist, designed by Philippe, our winner here, and promoed at Grand Prix Rogues Palace by Philippe. So again, Philippe has been the champion of Fossils. I have to hope that Philippe is very excited about the Fossils coming in the next set. And I am definitely glad to see such an old favorite control deck just beat down with transformed artifacts from the graveyard. Congratulations to Philippe. Well played run to all who wander and everybody else who competed this month in Grand Prix 4th Street. It has been a wild, wild month and a wild ride, and I cannot wait to see how everybody looks forward to and adapts to the new meta as we head into January 2025 and GQ Chaos reigns. Take care, everybody, and I will see you in the Revolution chat.